Hey, Outofbody Explorers. Today I want to talk about that last karmic soul that I was involved in my last video. Is still about, correcting timelines. And I did mention that I want to talk about his spirit guide. And I want you to know that his spirit guide is connected to my spirit guide, and that's why this is important for you to know. Because I don't really talk about other people's stuff, but in this situation it's very important because it talks about something that I might throw you for a loop, and at the end of this you're definitely going to be like, ooh, that threw me for a loop. And let me explain this. I want you to understand this big part of this. I am running in the multiverse. I'm able to see that situation, and so when I got involved with this individual, high-level individual, creating timelines because they were overthinking it, and don't forget, thought shapes reality. And so all the realities he was building, I was seeing, and then he came in, like I said, like a tornado. You'd have to watch that last video, so I don't want to really rehash all this stuff, but it's really a great lesson. I also want you to know that the out-of-body exploration system is a no-frills situation. Remember, I am getting these things authentically, and I did not get indoctrinated in religion or any kind of corrupted movies because I didn't watch them for about 25 years. Remember, I didn't even have an internet in my house for like 7 and didn't get the smartphone until later on. And what everybody really needs to understand a little bit about the creation physics is that we are caged in here. Our souls were caged in, and that's the biggest part that people are trying to recover right now, and that's why all these memories are happening. And this is why this out-of-body exploration system is all about you finding out who you are and really making peace with it, and then moving forward to keep this great awakening happening. Okay, so let's talk about one of my contacts or my spirit guides, if you'd like to talk about that. So I also did a spirit guide video, but it was really just to kind of introduce the hologram of people, and then I got comfortable. So I really should have finished that one. But anyway, so one of my spirit guides is one of the Inca gods. And he comes in with a gold shield face. Now what you need to know is the history of Peru. And there's a symbol in there, and I usually bring this in to teach people. Now, one of my lessons is about the Tumi, and the Tumi I usually bring into class, and I say, in your dream state there are symbols, and one of my symbols is that Inca Tumi. The Tumi itself is a Peruvian good luck charm, so most Peruvians have it in their house, and so it's a good luck charm for me, and it represents positive stuff for me. But if I was to teach you, because this is not your culture, and I tell you what this represents, it represents human sacrificing, child sacrificing, sacrificing a goat, all this bloodletting, and the shovel itself was to gut out the heart and just maim somebody. And now, if you're not Peruvian and you dream about this, that could be some chaos. Now, to be more specific, my Inca god is actually the Viracocha. And the Viracocha, and there's a bunch of ways to say the name. The Huiracocha, the Wiracoca, the Viracocha, whatever it is, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna call it the Viracocha. The Viracocha is one of the creator gods, and he's one of the supreme ones. So, and you might see him in this situation because I'm just gonna tell you that's another portal situation going on there. I got to see that spirit guide, and I call him the spirit guide, but I'm going to tell you by the end of this, like I said, you will see the connection. Now let me explain that last karmic soul that I had that contract with, that I said it doesn't serve me anymore. Now let me explain how his spirit guide is connected to my spirit guide, and then you'll put all the pieces together. Now it's coming out of this book. So this happened on July 5th. We're just going to call that guy my man, all right? So my man brings me out to eat. Of course, everybody knows that I love eating, okay? And he leaves me at this big conference. And now I'm in a lot of conferences because I'm also learning in the ether forms, like I'm in a lot of lessons, or I'm really connected to a lot of higher beings that are psychic or have all these other magical things that I'm learning when I'm out there. So here I am in the conference. And this one lady, she was a Chinese lady, and she was very, very psychic, very powerful. And as I'm learning, I'm looking, I'm like, wow. So I turn around to her and I say, oh, wow, your potion's really strong. And as I continue to talk to her, I see that guy, my man, and I'm like, ooh, sounds like he was being impatient. Empathically, I could feel something was up. So as I go to leave and excuse myself, another woman comes up to me. So as I start talking to this woman and I realize I see my man in the corner and he's like, we gotta go. So I'm about to leave and I overhear another high-level psychic speaking. She starts telling a story to another woman. And now I'm not a big eavesdropper because I don't do that. And I start to hear the story. She's explaining the story in a different way. And I see the story because that's exactly what happens when you're in this dimensional state. So if you tell me a story, I can picture it all. And if you're not telling me the truth, I see the different picture. So this woman starts not telling the truth. And next thing you know, I realize, I'm like, so what happens? Oh my gosh. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh, this person, she's cloaked. I can see her cloaking abilities. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a reptile. She morphs into this green, chubby little reptile alien. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And now my man is pulling me. So I'm like looking back like I cannot believe he's saving me from this situation. But as soon as he goes to save me, he gets on the radio and he's like, Agamemnon, Agamemnon, Agamemnon. And I'm like, oh my God, there he is. I see him. I see his spirit guide. And let me tell you, he wasn't very nice. So then I get a little crazy because now I'm in protective mode and I go, Agamemnon, you are not doing the right thing. I refuse to let you do that to him. I'm like, that is not nice. And he reveals himself. The gold shield is to hide who they really are behind it. Everybody needs to know, ooh, I've been telling you, they are here. And if you don't realize that they're light beings and that they're coming in here, good, bad, and I don't have to tell you, and let me tell you, Agamemnon, he's in Greek mythology. He was a king and he commanded the Greeks in the Trojan War. So I want you to know all these stories are coming into play. Yeah, I know you think they're myths, but that's part of what happened with the storylines. Everybody has those crazy storylines. And so this individual didn't realize that he's connected to some higher beings. And I had to tell him because I already know about my Viracocha, that gold shield is to hide who they really are. And let me tell you, I didn't want to know about that. And I'd like to say that mine is steering me in the correct way to teach these myths that aren't myths, that are actual truths on some of these situations. We had a nice talk and I did explain to him who Agamemnon was. And he did agree with me. He's like, he's not good. I'm like, I didn't think that. I thought he was good. I'm like, I was very protective. I told him no. And so now it was really interesting. Yeah, I know. We end up at least mending that situation, but he ultimately imploded. So, and it was really good because my soul was actually satisfied in that situation of ending a contract. But the goal in this video is to tell you about your spirit guides. Please, you need to be protected because of that soul cage. We are finally learning the truth about everything. I hope I helped you this week, but keep journaling every out-of-body experience that you have because there is a message all the time. All right, out-of-body explorers, I will see you next week. Press like and subscribe, and I'll see you then.